Orwell's predictions of a bleak dystopian future where polar opposites reign supreme inch ever so eerily closer to home. War is glorified, the media destroys information, banks wreck the economy, and freedoms erode under the government's supervision. In a way, this upside-down disaster partially applies to modern cinema as well. You see, in a perfect world where producers strive for quality instead of monumental box office revenue, they would simply take one look at the stack of 50 Shades novels from a cinematic perspective and convert the pages to toilet paper. But alas, we live in the real world, and on account of the novel's global popularity, 3 films were greenlit with zero regard for the sanity of rational moviegoers. The initial 2 hunks of junk violated every tenet of basic storytelling, and 50 Shades Freed is certainly no exception. I know the world works backwards, and I know for certain that the sole purpose of this franchise was money grubbing, so I don't even know why the sheer horrendousness of 50 Shades Freed shocked me so much. So following the events of 50 Shades Darker, newlyweds Christian and Anastasia return to Seattle from their long honeymoon. In an aimless, jumbled sequence of events, they bicker, have sex, go to exotic locales, party with friends, and have sex some more. Ever so infrequently, the film remembers that Anna is being stalked by her psychotic former boss, Jack Hyde, a laughably cartoonish villain who all of a sudden is an espionage expert and can bypass an influential billionaire security apparatus. This society-busting dumpster piece is a landfill-caliber mess. An all-expenses-paid trip to the Maldives shall be awarded personally by me to the lady or gentleman who can figure out the focal point of this so-called plot. Is 50 Shades Freed about Christian and Anna's post-nuptial adventures and assorted hardships, or is it about Jack Hyde's attempts at vengeance? Your guess is as good as mine, because not one single plot element contains an iota of focus. Moreover, Neil Leonard's absent-minded screenplay doesn't hold back on introducing subplots and abandoning them in the blink of an eye, ultimately leaving viewers with a painful, interminably plodding, and muddled exercise in tolerance. And needless to say, the unbearable ensuing boredom is impervious to this film's pathetic attempts at breaking it. We're offered the usual awkward sex scenes and a string of occurrences that provide microscopically short-lived conflict and amount to absolutely nothing. Zilch. Nada. Already failing miserably as dramatic softcore erotica, the film's final 20 minutes see Jack Hyde's absurdity-ridden revenge subplot turn into some idiotic harebrained thriller that puts the likes of Basic Instinct 2 to shame in the incompetence department. When lazy filmmakers refuse to assemble a coherent storyline and skimp on fundamentals such as character development and motivations, I believe they rely on star power to get the job done. That also gets an F as Jamie Dornan and Dakota Johnson put on raspberry-worthy performances, the cringe factor cemented by atrocious dialogue sounding like it was written by a 12-year-old girl. I can't even begin to understand how Christian and Anna's uncomfortable relationship grounded in psychological problems and dominance can be used as a shoulder to rest the entire weight of the film on. Underdeveloped and devoid of intrigue, 50 Shades Freed in full-blown arrogant nerve suggests that conflicted relationships and individuals can be rectified by a change in the surrounding circumstances. As Matt Goldberg of Collider notes, this superficial piece of garbage has no intention of showing actual development through progression and effort made by the characters, as doing so would take away from the obvious fantasy that this film so blatantly aims to present. 50 Shades Freed is an early contender for worst film of 2018, and I would rather take off all my clothes and ride a lemon juice water slide coated in razor wire than suffer through it again. But my anger goes beyond the mental injuries I sustained while watching this irredeemable turd fest. It's actually the masses' perplexing craving for such mindless dreck that truly grinds my gears. Believe it or not, as I was walking out of the theater, a blonde lady beside me was raving to her friend about the film. What in God's name could anybody see in this disaster piece? Let me guess, it's the lavish billionaire lifestyle, good looks, and sex, isn't it? You don't need to be Martin Scorsese to deduce that these components on their own do not make a good film. And that brings me back to my initial point about this upside-down world ruled by opposites. In addition to the grand injustices I already listed, I think we can add superficial bilge triumphing over thoughtful quality work to the pile. Subpar, poorly conceived franchises like Transformers and 50 Shades draw in the motherload, while masterpieces such as this and this are criminally overlooked. And that, my lovelies, is one sad, pathetic state of cinematic affairs. So I'm gonna give 50 Shades Freed a 1. That's right, I'm not even gonna give a point to Dakota Johnson's smoking hot body or the lush cinematography. That's like dumping a barrel of skunk oil all over me and giving me a stick of Dio to clean up the mess. So these are my thoughts on 50 Shades Freed. What did you think of the film? Let me know in the comment section below. And if you like what I do, give me a like, hit that big subscribe button, stay tuned, and I will see you on the next one.